It's time for us to talk business on a Monday morning. Welcome to Smooth Breakfast. If you just joined us, hello, Rotus. Good morning.
Good morning, Valentine. Good morning, people of Lagos and beyond. Good morning, Janet
Good
from
morning.
ARM.
Hi, Janet.
Hi, good
Good
morning.
morning. All right, Lagos, join the conversation by sending messages to WhatsApp. The WhatsApp number is 08094440981. On Twitter, we're at Smooth981FM. Please use that hashtag BusinessExpress981. And we're streaming live on YouTube.
Whew. Valentine,
Yes.
Did you watch? Are you a sports guy? Did you watch any of the sports this weekend? We need to start talking sports business. The online betting. In fact, ARM, you guys aren't covering betting companies yet, yeah?
No, we're not.
Is Janet's mic up? Try that again.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
There
No,
she
no,
is. All
no,
right, so
we're
you
not.
need to say good morning again to
Oh,
Lagos.
okay. Good morning, Lagos.
All right, we can hear
Good
you
morning
now.
to you.
So no, you guys are covering sports betting companies.
No, we're not.
You're not.
They make
Okay.
a lot of money.
Non-listed on the exchange anyway.
Exactly, they're not. They need to be publicly
They
listed
should
because
be.
good. Look, Champions League, the French Open,
Premier League.
Premier League is done. Joshua's loss yesterday. I mean, the amount of I know someone who bet on Joshua losing and he
Yes.
made about 50,000. It's crazy. I mean,
I'm not surprised.
the amount of money that's being made. I think it's Kenya. I can't remember which country it is that's trying to limit the amount of betting because there's so much. I think it's Kenya. They're trying
Like
to limit the amount of
saturation
betting.
of
Yeah.
betting companies in the
Worried
country.
about people losing. People who don't have enough money losing it and so on. But Nigeria, we're leading the way. I mean, they need to release figures to tell us how much was generated this weekend because I can imagine it was.
I
it
wonder
was
if they have
massive.
some form of insurance cover on the
No,
betting.
there's no insurance. If you lose your money, you lose your money. That's it. There's no.
No,
there's
not
there's no
even
cover.
talking about the users. I'm talking about the betting companies.
Oh yeah, the
themselves.
companies, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, everything is pretty much staggered. But to be interesting, I need to do a deep dive into this sports business one of these days.
If you
But
get an idea of the statistic.
yeah, we can release
Mind-blowing.
it. Okay, so the market's Friday 0.59% down, 31,069.37 points. AXA Mansard was the top gainer, up by 10%, closed at 1 naira 98 kobo. Now this is interesting because this is who I think we're starting with. Yeah, Janet, we're starting with the top loser on the exchange was Owando, was down by 9.6% to 4 naira 20 kobo. Now, Janet, the talk was that there was a press release, right? That was really I hate saying press release and release because it almost sounds redundant. But there was a press release
That was published.
Yeah, I know that was published. Thank you. Or made known to the public on Friday from the Securities and Exchange Commission. Yeah.
Yeah.
With regards to Owando.
Yeah.
But this is now the interesting thing. So folks that are listening, maybe you can help us out because apparently it said that it was this press release that caused the shares of Owando to dip on Friday. However, the SEC didn't release the press release until after the market closed, Abby. So either it was just a coincidence that the investors just started selling the shares, or I don't know. Anyway, Janet, what's the gist of this? Let's take us back to where are you taking us back to?
Yeah,
2017.
so back in 2017.
Yeah.
Okay, so just starting off, back in 2017, two shareholders, that's that's Halaji Mangal and Ansbury Incorporated. They're
Yeah.
shareholders in Owando, and they put up petitions really requesting that SEC make investigations, in the company and the directors as well, and then after considering that, the then SEC DG Guazo
Yeah.
actually, put up started a forensic audit on the company back in October 2017, and following that, it was led to the suspension of trading on the shares on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, really. So I mean, trickling down, just moving down further in 2017, you see where it got a bit more sensitive when the then Minister of Finance Kemi Adeosun ordered the suspension of Guazo.
Yeah.
Exactly, and then the suspension on the shares actually went on up until April 2018.
Right.
But meanwhile, in the background, there's a court case in London between Owando and Mr. Volpe, who owns Ansbury Incorporated. Really.
Right.
So I mean, all of that just went on till April 2018 when the shares were lifted, and then court case was also concluded in favor of Mr. Volpe.
Okay.
But I mean, even through the year, it was in the news that most of the shareholders or the the issues were resolved and there was some form of reconciliation. So it was more or less very quiet after the shares continued trading,
Okay.
throughout the year. And then all of a sudden on Friday we get the press release on SEC's website, stating that the investigation is concluded.
Right,
That's the
right.
forensic conclusion is concluded. And they also gave directives really as to how to, they gave penalties, fines were placed, that's all summing to about 417 million naira.
417 million.
Exactly.
Wow.
And then, the big part really was, where it was hit that, the CEO would have to resign.
Okay.
And then the deputy as well. They are no longer allowed to be directors for 5 years.
Okay.
For any company in Nigeria.
Wow.
And then, yeah, exactly. So,
Now, I can imagine that Owando hit back. Yes. 'Cause
well,
I
of
think
course.
yeah.
Of course, they gave their response, just really stating that they would rather get some fair hearing of the case.
Right.
And that they hadn't really gotten a feedback on the conclusion of the investigation
Before
or
it was
details.
made public to
Exactly.
everybody. Right.
Details on the investigation. So
Right.
that's where things currently stand. And then moving forward, really, you're just wondering, what exactly could happen next. Definitely you would likely see more court cases.
Right.
It's likely we see some fight back. But I believe what's more sensitive is, that concerns us really is the share
Right,
that's
the share
trading
price.
in Owando.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, we mentioned on Friday the stock already lost 10%. It's likely investors get more jittery going forward,
Right.
and then we see how things unfold from there. But then the SEC has also directed that they have to call an extraordinary general meeting before July 1st.
Okay.
Where they have to decide on or appoint new directors. Exactly. So aside that, they also mentioned, like I mentioned, resignation of some of the board members
Right.
as well, and then resignation of the CEO and his deputy, and then refund of disbursed remuneration by the affected board members and the like. So all of this is quite sensitive,
Yeah.
and then well, I mean, definitely it's going to cause some jittery in markets, and then it won't be surprising to see
If the shares
sell-offs.
drop.
Exactly.
Right,
Sell-offs
today.
in the stock.
All right, we'll be watching that. We'll be seeing. I'll be tweeting about that as well. I have provide screenshots and tweets about the stock market ongoing activities there. So we'll see how things go with the Owando shares and how they trade today. Thank you so much for that, Janet. All right, we move on. Oh, Benga, I see your tweets about. Or I said tweets. Your WhatsApp message.
So Benga sent a message on WhatsApp. He said, betting is huge in Nigeria, especially Lagos, and the little coins add up to something massive. Just read a story about a Ponzi scheme that took over 200 million on the island.
What?
Apparently, we have gamblers here
Yeah,
everywhere.
we do. Thank you for
Yes,
that.
we
Thank you for
do.
that.
And Chidi says the greatest problem is in the most quoted companies in Nigeria is weak corporate governance. The few that even have sound corporate governance, like our multinationals, are usually put under pressure by the government to compromise on their ethics. They want them to bribe to do businesses right. It's so unfortunate, and that's why our capital market does not have the kind of activity expected.
All right, thank you for that,
Thank you,
Paul and
Paul.
Benga. All right, so we move. Speaking of quoted companies, we're going to move from Owando over to oil palm. Yes,
Yeah.
Janet. So I think we're looking at Presco's full year 2018 results and Q1
2019.
2019. All right, take it away. So what are we seeing with
Okay,
Presco?
so from beginning of the year, when we had more of the companies release their results, they had actually filed, requesting that they would be delaying on the release on their result, and that came through on Friday.
Okay.
And what we're seeing is for their full year 2018, but I mean, it's important to state that for full year 2018, they had to restate their 2017 figures.
Okay.
And then we actually saw that actually caused the 2017 EPS drop drastically to 5 naira 68 kobo from 25 naira 36 kobo.
Quite a drop.
Exactly. And then the major crux or the major cause for that really was the tax credit that was reversed. So I mean, we'll need to clarify this when we speak of management. But what we have there is, as at release of the initial report stated, a tax credit of 14 billion naira last year, and then that's in 2017. But that was reversed to a tax charge of about 2.1 billion naira. So that was, and then there was also the restatement of the loss on biological assets as well. So that was what really caused that huge drop in EPS.
Okay.
But that was in 2017.
Right.
But coming into 2018 results, I mean, we're seeing revenue come lower. It's actually under pressure. It was down 4.6%. It was
Okay.
down to 21.34 billion naira from 22.36 billion in 2017. And I mean, aside the drop in revenue, we also saw dropping in the cost of sales as well. So
Okay.
I mean, and even in Q1 as well, we also saw drop in revenue that was down about 16%. And major reason for this decline in revenue is there's been a decline in CPO prices globally.
That's crude.
Yeah, so
palm
crude
oil.
palm oil,
Yeah, okay,
exactly.
cool.
So that was down. That was down about 20% compared to like looking at year on year for
Okay.
Q1 2019. And what that has done really is, at least from the story we got on Okomo, it's that's caused some smuggling into the country. So it
Mm.
makes things cheaper so that just intensifies competition locally,
Right.
domestically for domestic players
Okay.
as well. So that has, I mean, we saw a similar drop in revenue for Okomo's Q1 as well.
Right.
So, this just, puts things into context as well.
Mm.
But like I mentioned, even though the revenue dropped 5%, we're also seeing cost of sales drop about 20%, so that just, more or less protected their margins. We saw margins increase to 78% from 73%.
Okay.
So the way that works is, if their revenue is able to drop, but they're still able to
Reduce
manage their
costs.
costs,
Yeah. Then
exactly.
it's
So
all
their
it's
margins,
all good.
exactly.
To an
But
extent, anyway.
yeah, to an extent,
We
But I
did.
mean,
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, that said, really, you see that continue down, and then for their full year, they're recording APS of 4 naira 30 kobo
Mm.
compared to the 5 naira 68 kobo that was
Now,
that was revised.
thanks for that. Now I know we talked downstairs. You guys, it's still under review, yeah. So you don't have a call yet on the stock as far as
Well,
buy
yeah,
sell.
yeah. So I mean, it's still a buy. I mean, currently it's at 67.47 naira. It's
Okay.
trading at 58 naira currently on the stock exchange. So our fair value estimate on the stock is 67.47
So
naira.
still, you think there's still room to grow for the
Yeah,
stock?
exactly.
All
And
right.
I
Yeah.
think it's important to state. I mean, full year they actually declared a dividend of 2 naira,
Okay.
2 naira on the stock, which is the same as what it was last year. So
Okay.
based on a price of 58 naira, it's going to give you some level of yield, about 3% yield, really, for investors that buy. But then
Nice.
details on that has not been given. So like the qualification dates,
Right, and so on.
and the rest.
Good
of it.
stuff. And also, please remember, before you make any take any action on the recommendations for stocks, please reach out to a broker, do your due diligence, like an ARM, and before you take any action. So good stuff there. Akin, yes, we see
Akin
Akin.
sent a message. He said, please, I would like to know, does the Security and Exchange Commission, SEC, have such power to exit directors?
Akin, if you go to sec.gov.ng, you'll read about the SEC.
And you'll find out.
No, I'll read it for him right now and everybody else that's curious.
Okay.
The Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, is a government agency mandated to regulate and develop the Nigerian capital market. Our mission is to develop and regulate a capital market that is dynamic, fair, transparent, and efficient to contribute to the nation's economic development. So as far as transparency, ethics, being fair, and so on, they can make these recommendations, right, Janet? As far as these companies
Of
are
course,
concerned,
yeah, and then they have that that control over capital market operators.
right. So if you're a publicly traded company, you have to comply with the
Yes.
SEC's rule. Well, of course, again, Owando they fought back. They said, look, this you didn't give us a chance to go over your press release before you went out. So this is still just reporting what's going on, just putting it out there in the open.
Yinka says you can't be taking home 560 million naira a month and not expect trouble. How much down does Buhari earn a month? I think the CEO will be all right for 5 years, considering the bank account at the moment. You guys have no idea what the salary news did to some of us. At a point, a friend of mine said he started looking at the MD with one kind eye. Asked him, "Is this one MD?" The likes of
Yeah. So Yinka is of course referring to the salary of the Owando
their
MD.
salaries were always publicly quoted.
Yeah, they were quoting. Yeah,
research.
that's part of the cool things about their financials. Yeah,
Yeah,
you can go and
exactly, yeah.
dig into.
Open to the
For
public.
public
Look at the chairman of Zenith.
Please
and
add your names to your messages so we
his
can
on
read
this
them.
thing.
Ibrahim says,
Ibrahim, yes.
betting companies are more liquid than you think. Average of 2 billion naira revenue daily.
Wow.
In the Nigerian online gaming industry. With the green having more than half, and the blue with about 25%. The rest of the players share the rest.
He's using color codes for a couple companies. I like that, Ibrahim. I like
smart.
that.
Nee says Mr. Tinubu and Co. That's Wale Tinubu.
Yeah.
That can still be directors, but not in publicly listed companies.
Uh-huh.
Mr. Tinubu and Co. Okay,
Now,
yeah,
again, this is what the SEC has. This is not. This is what the SEC has proposed, right? Of course. So again, just to put this out there, Owando has responded, and they're saying that they're not taking this line down. So again, we're just putting this out there. Please, nobody should think that this is already mandated and this is what's going to happen. They are fighting it ahead, so it's not.
So it's open to context.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes, and we'll monitor that. Are we rounding up?
30 seconds.
30 seconds. Well, we had other stories, but in 30 seconds, let me thank Janet Ogunkoya.
Of course, thank you for having me.
ARM for joining us, and thank you for all your messages. Valentine, we push on.
Thank you, Rotus, for the
Yeah.
quality information. Check out Rotus on Twitter at Rotanquotes.
Yes,
R
yes.
O T N K W O T.
Thank you for spelling it.
You're welcome. Monday morning on Smooth Breakfast.
I mean, we just knew we were run out of time, right? We just knew, but you know how it is. You know, I just have to